I saw it yesterday. I don't understand where these people get the law. I hear one of these girls or ladies who anchors democracy today, whatever, I don't know. She was reading one of the provisions of Electoral Act that nobody can stop anybody from holding rallies. And she called my name, that I'm one of those governors. I understand the platform. I understand. But unfortunately, she refused to say there's nowhere in the provision of that Electoral Act that says there should be no regulation. Take for example, if you want to use my environment, my father's home for rally, will you not seek for permission? Will it because they say you should go for rally? You run down to my father's home because they say nobody can stop you from rally. You just enter. I begin to hold a rally. Is that possible? I don't understand what people say to the public. You want to use a school built by government because they say you should hold rally. You will not seek permission from the principal of the school or from the headmaster or headmistress of the school. You just, because they say you should hold rally, you go to a school, you begin to do rally, you get it hopeless, you break all the glasses, then government will come and repair the classes. Is that what the law says? If you want to hold rallies in primary schools, you must seek permission. You must pay a deposit so that when you eat rice and you drink pure water and you are going, who will clean it? Who will clean it?
Yes, the governor of Rivers State took time to speak on issues thrown up on Wednesday, Wednesday edition of Democracy Today. And the focus of the program was the Electoral Act as it concerns peaceful electioneering. How I wish politicians would leave journalists like me, who are simply doing their job as professionals, out of the politics and the schemings that is going on. But I want to say thank you, Governor Nyesom Wike. At least that was a recognition that I'm actually doing my job. Because if you don't mention my name, that means I'm not doing well. But what did I actually say that is not within the confines of the law? I quoted Section 91 of the Electoral Act 2022, which talks about the role of police during electioneering. Let me just let's just take a look at Section 1, Section 1, 3, and 4 of that very act. Section 91, subsection 1 says, and I quote, "The Commissioner of Police in each state of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, shall provide adequate security for proper and peaceful conduct of political rallies and processions in their respective jurisdiction and for their purpose. The police may be supported by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and any other security agency of the federal government." Subsection 3 says, "Notwithstanding any provisions in the Police Act, the Public Order Act, and any regulation made thereunder or any other law to the contrary, the role of the Nigerian Police Force and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and any other security agency of the federal government in political rallies, processions, and meetings shall be limited to the provisions of adequate security as provided for in subsection 1 of this very section." Now, 4 says, "No registered political party in Nigeria, its aspirants or candidates, shall be prevented from holding rallies, processions, or meetings at any time for their constitutional political purpose, and the police shall in a consultative manner resolve any conflict of time and venue between and amongst parties where such arises." End of quotes. And you see, that was exactly what I mentioned. And we also had to mention the Order 22. What was written on the Order 22 was what we mentioned. And any part that was quoted from that Order 22 was what was contained in the order letter that we also received, the document that we received. So what we did on Wednesday was just to read it as it is written in that order. Well, let's move to the business of today. We are still looking at this same issue today. And according to INEC timeline, it is 3 months, which is 14 weeks or 99 days to February 25, 2023, the E-Day for presidential election in Nigeria. So the countdown is here, 99 days. INEC has already said they will start distributing permanent voters' card. That's if they've not even started. And the registration are everywhere, which will... register, I beg your pardon, are already posted in the various INEC offices and their website. So you can go there and then lay claims and also meet INEC if you have any question. But the Inspector General, please, I'd like to take this, especially from what the Governor of Rivers State had mentioned earlier. I'd like to say that the Inspector General, please, and other security chiefs met with executives of the 18 political parties in Abuja. And the Inspector General, please, in his remarks said, and I quote, "The last form of political violence relates to the conduct of some state governors who manifest traits of political intolerance, which often inflame political tension. In this regard, we have been receiving reports of some state governors who encourage political thugs and sub-national security outfits under their control to disrupt seamless and statutorily guaranteed campaign activities of parties or candidates with whom they hold opposing political views. In so doing, they deployed their powers and influences to either prevent the mounting of campaign billboards or pull them down, while also denying political opponents of spaces to undertake their campaigns or peaceful political congregations in contravention of the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. So let's listen to him. Anyway, we will come back to play that of the Inspector General, please. I'm sure it will be ready in a short while. But let's quickly tell you, we have 2 lawyers in the studio to look at the legal implications of disturbing campaigns of opposing political parties. We have our regular lawyers tonight, and they are in the studio. Barrister Vincent Otakupu, thank you so much. And Barrister Maxwell Okpara, thank you for coming. Let's quickly listen to the Inspector General, please. Then we'll come back to you.
From acts of political brigandage, end violence, as this is the only way we can reassure our citizens and the international community of our nation's commitment to a peaceful 2023 general election. I wish to similarly appeal to the Independent National Electoral Commission to, in cognizance of their critical regulatory enforcement and supervisory role as enshrined in the Electoral Act 2022, assert their statutory powers and scale up their compliance action towards complementing the Nigeria Police and other law enforcement agencies in checkmating the threats being forced to our democratic order by actors within the political system. This requires that INEC should take decisive action against candidates and parties that violate the Electoral Act in the areas of conduct of political parties, candidates, and other actors in relation to hate speeches, campaign fundings, regulations, encouraging, supporting, or inciting violence, and the depriving political opponents of basic electoral rights guaranteed under the Act. On this note, I welcome you all to this meeting and look forward to an outcome that will address in the most sustainable manner the identified negative tendencies that are threatened in the most sustainable.
All right, the Inspector General, please, they're still speaking on the issue of political campaigns. Yes, let's come to the studio. Let me start from Mr. Maxwell Okpara. You listened to the governor of Rivers State, where he actually said, let me quote you, unfortunately, she quoted the law, but unfortunately, there should be, she didn't quote to say that there should be regulation. Can the Electoral Act or the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria be regulated by a governor of a sitting state?
In the first instance, I want to start by commending the Inspector General of Police, because why the likes of Wike and some other governors that are issuing all these executive orders is because police failed to do their work. If you watch ranging from the Constitution to Police Act to police regulations on electoral matters to Electoral Act itself, the state governors has no say when it comes to issue of regulation of electoral activities. The state governors has no say. Now, taking it off from Rivers State, when Wike is trying to compare government institution, government structure as his own personal, his father's property, there is no way you compare them. In the first instance, Wike is seeing himself, he's seeing Rivers State as his own personal property. He's not seeing it as a government institution. Because by this time next year, Wike will cease to be the governor, another person will come in. Had it been that the way Wike is handling opponents, what's the name, Amechi handled him like that. When Amechi was trying to use military, here in the studio, we are condemning the act. We are even attacking Amechi, say you don't do that. Irrespective of the fact that they were, he was in government then. Now, coming back to the law itself, the issue of regulating electoral activities, political activities, is wholly squarely on INEC and the police. INEC and the police. If you read the section 91, which you have just read,
yes,
that one is out of National Assembly. It said that if you say police and other security agencies, then what are you expected to do? What are you expected to do as a political party? If you want to hold rally in a government institution in Rivers State, you write to the police. Now, police now will carry out the investigation. If it's a particular school, you will see the principal. Look at these people want to. Is there anything? If there is no issue that has to do with that particular school, they are not writing exam or something like that, they will release. You cannot unreasonably withhold consent, because it is not your property. It is the property of the people of Rivers State, and the people who want to use that place are the people of Rivers State who want to contest election, want to use that place for political rally. You cannot. So those particular orders, I was even surprised that by now some people have not even gone to court to set aside that order. It's complete executive recklessness, abuse of powers. Then concerning the Constitution itself, if you read the Constitution right from section 158, right from the third schedule, the third schedule alteration, section 15, it has to do with INEC and INEC alone. INEC to regulate, INEC to decide, INEC to do everything. Though what you are required to do is to get your venue, get your date, notify INEC, notify the police. Then we now do the background check. If they say that they want to use a place like, let's say, government secondary school, Rumola, and the Rivers State governor said, and the governor, you cannot. The Rivers State
what
police,
he's saying that you must take permission.
No.
See the Commissioner for Environment.
Of course, you notify them, seeking permission. They cannot unreasonably withhold it or asking you that you should go and deposit 10 million naira. What if you're a political party, you don't have, or Rivers State, you don't have 10 million naira?
I think it's 5 million. That's what.
Even if it's 500,000 naira, and they don't have it,
right.
What do they? You are not depriving them their right as enshrined in section 40 of the Constitution. So all this we are citing is the Constitution, or not even the Act. So any other law made by the Rivers State government that is inconsistent with this Constitution, that particular order is as good as tissue paper. So that we can, the Attorney General should advise.
There were those who quoted that in every state there are environmental laws domiciled in the state, and if you take a look at that, defacing of the state, the streets and all that are illegal. So that's what the Rivers State governor is trying to explain when he said regulation, that you didn't know that there will be regulation in the law.
IJ, thank you for the question. Permit me to interrogate this question looking at the statutory provisions under the Electoral Act, which is the specific application of law that regulates election activities, vis-a-vis, and also interrogate it on the balance of the constitutional provisions, which is a diagram norm. Now, to answer this question, it is very important and sacrosanctly indispensable for us to understand whether a governor of a state has power to make law by executive order,
yes,
or even the state assembly has power to make law to monitor or regulate election activities in any state in Nigeria? The answer is capital no. Now, when you look at item F, paragraph 15, from A to I of the Constitution, third schedule, part 1, it says, the INEC, as Independent National Electoral Commission, has been given absolute powers and unfettered discretion, statutory responsibility and powers under the constitutional doctrine of delegated legislation to make rules, regulations that regulate conduct of election to the office of the president, vice president, governor, deputy, senate, and the House of Representatives, including state assemblies. In that regard, INEC cannot on their own even delegate this power, which has been given to them by the Constitution. So, a state governor, beyond this point, when you look at item 22, second schedule, part 1 to the Constitution, which is still on an exclusive legislative list, the National Assembly has been given the exclusive power to make law with respect to the election to the office of the governor, deputy, president, vice, and the senate, and even state assembly. So the governor of a state cannot, by any stretch of imagination, under executive order, executive lawlessness, usurp the powers of the National Assembly and that of INEC. And section 4, subsection 3 states that the powers given to National Assembly under exclusive legislative list shall be exercised in exclusion of any other, exclusion of the state assembly, and as the case may be. Now, when you go down to section 4, subsection 5, it says, if any law made by state assembly is inconsistent, or even the governor by executive order is inconsistent by the provisions of the law made, inconsistent with the provisions of the law made by National Assembly, that other law made by National Assembly shall prevail. And the other law made by the state or executive order, whatever you call it, shall to the extent of its inconsistency be void. The Supreme Court have handled some of the situation, which is similar in context with what we have now. Nigeria operates a federal system of government where you have the federal government and states and the local government. Every tier of government has a responsibility constitutionally spelled out, either by way of executive power, legislative power, and judicial power, under section 4, 5, and 6 of the Constitution. A state governor cannot, by any stretch of imagination, make a law by executive order to regulate conduct of National Assembly election, which is the National Assembly has power to make law. INEC as a federal body has power to conduct election and regulate activities too. It does not fall within your power. The only power given to state assembly and that of the governor is with respect to local government elections. The governor should be able to understand it. Let us interrogate this in further. Beyond this point, and in reference to what happened in Anambra State in last election, during the last regime of Governor Obiano, they came up with election tariff law. Under this election tariff law, where you want to mount unipos, side view of unipos, side view of gantries and banners, you pay as much as 5 million naira. Therefore, political parties that want to campaign put up their posters and banners within the senatorial zone district, you pay 5 million. House of Representative constituency 2 million, and local government I think 500,000. So cumulatively, a political party that want to campaign in the entire state will be able to cough out a whooping sum of almost 330 million naira to the state government. So that is calculated attempt to not only to undermine the provisions of the Constitution and the Electoral Act, because you cannot give what you don't have. We say no more that quod non have it. If you don't have power to make law on a subject matter, you cannot regulate it in your state.
All right, Barrister Otakwukwu, for time, because our time is even gone, let me just come to Barrister Maxwell. As it is now, with what is going on in most states, and the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, he has already made it clear that they have reports and they will not take it lightly. So what do you think should be the advice to some state government governors that are even going ahead to even mention, just like our governor said a few minutes ago on what we played, to mention that they won't allow it?
I was here a couple of weeks ago, last week, and I said this thing. When Obiano was using Bacchus not Obiano, Mbadinuju, was using Bakassi to harass the people of Anambra State. What happened? Then IG deployed police, get all those boys arrested, and the police should do their work. Who is Wike? Is Wike above the law? He's not above the law. He's the governor. Nobody's respecting him. The people are respecting his office. So if even the matrimonial constitution as your own daughter, if somebody is coming to marry your own daughter and you said no, and their daughter said yes, the law said people should do away with your consent.
So what you are saying now, that they should do away with the other 22, 21?
Yes, because what you need to do is.
But you know that the state also has
get
laws.
It right.
Yes.
Get it right. People are listening. So that people items get it right. You don't abuse the law given to you. Just like my colleague said, when you apply, notify them, notify the police, notify INEC. You have done your own. On that particular date, they will check whether that date is convenient for INEC and for police and for the state.
Okay.
Then that venue, whether it is convenient, if it is convenient and they have done the necessary security distance, you should go ahead and do your distance. He's talking about destroying the government facilities by political parties. It's the work of the police to monitor them, to provide security.
Right.
Whoever want to resort to violence, to get the person arrested.
Right.
So you cannot use this particular order to stop people.
All right.
What of a political party that cannot provide 5 million naira? So they cannot hold rallies in Rivers State.
There's a football match about to start, and we have an abuse.
You need to bring Attorney General or whoever that is advising Wike. Bring the person.
Okay, the person advising
yes,
the government.
There is a new law signed by the president this year. It's called Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria Act.
Okay.
It regulates advertisement and what have you in the entire state of Nigeria, which is a law passed by the National Assembly. And why the National Assembly made a law that covers distribution, the State Assembly of Governors
and the executive orders by the president has been set aside.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Well, it's one of